Karina, I think you probably know this, but it's Amber and I'm here and just let me know when you're ready to roll.
No problem. I'll let you. And Amber, everything is up and running, so we are ready to go and start on time.
So thank you. Hi, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm seeing counselors kind of filtering in here. So I am going to call the Climate Conservation and Parks Committee it's not January, June 29th, 2022 to order. And I think, let's see here. I think we're gonna have enough people. So we continue on Wednesdays to meet virtually. You can join us at ci.missoula.mt.us/webcasts. We're hoping we're in person sometime soon. You can also leave public comment for all of council at 406-552-60112 or 12, or email us at council@ci.missoula.mt.us, and that will go to all our council people. You can go ahead and take that down now, I think. And I think we've got enough here. So Karina, would you do roll?
Sure thing. Anderson,
Present.
Becerra,
Present.
Carlino,
Present.
Contos,
Here.
Hess,
Present.
Jones,
Present.
Jordan,
Present.
Mike Nugent,
Present.
Savage,
Present.
Cheryl,
Present.
Vaseka,
Present.
West. Looks like everyone but Heidi, so we do have a quorum.
Okay, great. We'll just keep an eye out for Heidi. She might be coming in here. So we have minutes from June 15th for approval. Are there any changes to those minutes? They are on the same topic we will be discussing shortly. I do not see anyone's hands up, so those minutes will stand approved. If I see one person in the public in attendance, if you would like to make public comment on items not on the agenda today, please raise your hand. Okay, I do not see anyone wanting to make public comments. So we're going to pick up. Ms. Savage ran this meeting for me last time. So if I am not picking up exactly where we left off, anyone wants to correct me, that would be just fine. This is the 2415 South Hills encroachment permit application. It's an encroachment on Perry Park. I don't know, does anyone feel the need to have a quick update on this before we start with discussion? If any council people would like to do a quick update.
A quick update would be great. Thanks.
Okay, great. And it will need to be, we only have a half an hour meeting and we may have some more discussion. So who wants to do that? Let's see who's here. I think Jeff's here. Okay, Jeff, you are here. You weren't on my screen. Jeff, if you want to just give us a quick update, that would be great. And then we will finish up council discussion.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So as a very quick reminder, I'm going to take just 2 or 3 minutes here. The agenda item you have before you is a request, an encroachment permit request for an encroachment into Peary Park from the property, as mentioned, 2415 South Hills Drive. In April of last year, a adjacent neighbor notified the Parks Department that the access to Peary Park via that location had been blocked. Upon investigation, it was determined that a quite significant encroachment existed onto Parks property, approximately 2,100 square feet. This included a large portion of a paved driveway, a portion of a wooden deck, gravel parking pad, and concrete wall. Upon further inspection, it was determined that while the detached garage had been properly permitted, the homeowner at that time, who is not the current homeowner, had not secured the required paving permit. That the building permit showed the edge of the driveway going to the Parks property boundary, but no further. And when that driveway and other features were put in, again, a very significant encroachment occurred onto Parks property. In 2015, City Council passed resolution 8024, which set a zero tolerance policy for encroachments onto any parks property, regardless of their age. And so in moving forward with addressing this encroachment, again, the sort of severity and extent was such that the homeowner requested a variance to the resolution. We brought forth a recommendation to Missoula Parks and Recreation Board to issue a encroachment permit just for the hardscape features. So this includes just the driveway, the deck, and the concrete wall, which totals to approximately 1,300 square feet, approximately. And that the gravel parking pad, which is non-hardscape and would be very challenging to enforce the boundary of that, would be removed. And that parks would be able to then restore the area directly adjacent to the property. Funds used from the encroachment permit fees would be used to directly improve Peary Park, both access at this location and potential access at several other locations, as well as resurfacing trails further to the south or upslope in the park. Parks and Recreation Board sort of debated for 2 meetings and resulted in the recommendation that you see before you in the draft encroachment permit, which is again to issue an encroachment permit for approximately 1,300 square feet for the hardscape features only. And I'm pulling up the overall amount right here for a total permit fee of $3,140.63 as valued based on a comparable property that Missoula City Public Works disposed of about a half mile south of this property just before this. So the exhibits are quite lengthy, but that's the short 2 to 3 minute summary.
That's great. Thanks, Jeff. And so my understanding is that this was not caught on a title search or report, as far as you know, when the property changed hands, because it's not the current owner that did this. And then, of course, as properties are sold, there's a title search and founder whatever all they do. And Mike has his hand up, so I'm sure he's going to correct some of the things that I'm saying. But this was not caught when the property changed hands. And Mike, I'm going to go to you because I know you're probably have something to say about it.
As far as Parks is aware, that is correct. But, and I will say, well, yes. So to answer your question, yes. As far as we are aware, that was not caught.
Okay, great. And I think we have someone in the attendees from Schulte Law Firm, and I believe that's the homeowner's lawyer. So Mike, I'm gonna go to you, and then I'll take comment from
Okay.
them.
I would just say that it probably won't be caught on at the issuance of a title policy unless they did a survey or found the corner pins, and that's not common practice within the city for whatever reason. But I would say that they probably had a plat map that would have shown the public or the park space between the neighbor and them. So I would think that maybe that would have been obvious, but they wouldn't have done they probably wouldn't have caught it just on the
Wouldn't have
title
been-
search.
Great. Thank you for that clarification. It just seems like something like that should have been caught in some way as properties changed hands. So that part was confusing to me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, and there's someone here from Schulte Law Firm, and you should be able to unmute yourself. If you want to make comment on this.
Hi, this is Dwight Schulte. Can you guys see me okay? I have my video set up here, but I don't see myself.
Well, we can't see you, but we can see your name, so we know who you are. So you could go ahead. I don't see your video.
Got it. Well, so Mike is absolutely right. Surveys aren't done on residential transactions in Missoula. There was no survey done. There was no notice of this encroachment at the time of purchase. And encroachments that can be determined if a survey is done are specifically excluded from title commitments. A lot of confusion on this stems, and forgive me if I get ahead of myself. I have a lot of information. I'm happy to quiet down and let you guys discuss more. But from a document standpoint, the city does not own this property that we're talking about. Peary Park was transferred to the city, but these HOA common areas are not. So if we track the documents, this is common area for the homeowners association that's supposed to be maintained by the homeowners association that is currently, I think, not really being maintained by anyone. But that's part of I think the confusion as this whole process started. I think there was absolutely intent to transfer these homeowner common areas to the city, but I don't think it ever happened. So that's kind of a hole that we've developed in this process. But there was no notice of the actual encroachment even onto these homeowner common area associations until the letter from the city that started this process that Jeff and Susan and I have been working on to try and resolve.
Okay, thank you. Mike, did you have another comment or question?
I just had a question. Is for Dwight, is are they currently paying into an HOA? Is there an active HOA up there?
There's an active HOA up there, Mike. I can't tell you if they're assessing fees or not. It is all under an HOA. The HOA is in the title commitment. I don't know what the fees are, if any. I presume there are, but I can't tell you for sure there are.
Because generally, if an HOA owns land, they're paying some level of tax on it, unless there's an exemption to it. So
Yeah, and I frankly, Mike, I have not looked at it. I presume yes, but I can't represent yes because I don't know.
okay.
Thanks. And Morgan, go ahead.
Yeah, just something to add. I don't know if it's relevant, but when I first came on in the city in 2007, I do believe Perry and Meadowlark Acres, which are largely the two parks that make up this area, were at that time owned by the county and were transferred to the city. I do not know these little 15-foot right-of-ways if they were conveyed as well, but I do know there was a history of county ownership in this area as well. Jim might have some background on that.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. His hand's up, so I'm going to go ahead. Thanks, Morgan. Jim, go ahead.
Just to give a fuller picture, background picture for everyone on the council, the county is the keeper of the real property records. The city does not keep track of the transactions going on with respect to real estate. So anytime there's a real estate transaction, the city's not involved. The city's not receiving any information. There's no records being informing the city. So it's very easy for things to be going on and the city has no idea the real estate transaction even occurred because it has no notice. And then, as has already been mentioned, it's rare when there's ever a survey going on, a land survey. Land surveys are expensive. And anytime there's a real estate transaction, you do not have a land survey that accompanies the real estate transaction. So just as a more general, generic background for the council members, I wanted you to be aware of that.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thanks, Jim. Jeff, go ahead.
You're muted, Jeff.
I was about to say, I can't hear anything.
Sorry, I apologize. Getting ahead of myself. This is the County Property Information System. The parcel in question, 2415 South Hills Drive is right here. Perry Park is highlighted. It's recorded as a single parcel as owned by City of Missoula.
Great. Thank you. Would you also, Jeff, would you throw up Exhibit G? It's the one you sent me earlier. Great. Yeah. Okay. I can see that now. So, I mean, one of the things that I was just struck by this, and as I was looking at this, is we're talking about a new trail connection starting at that really long yellow line up at the, yeah, thanks. I'm doing it on my screen, but that's not showing anyone else. But I mean, if you look at how many streets and dead end streets this is going to serve, this is going to be, I think, an important trail for all of those kind of cul-de-sacs and just the trails that yeah, that it hits. So I think this is a nice access point to that park. I'm happy about that piece of it. I know that that's not a big piece of what we're talking about, but it certainly is, the money is going to be going toward getting access from that area. So I think it's an important piece to our trail system.
And I would add that there is currently access, but it is in no way developed, if that makes sense. There is no surfaced trail. Some people are walking it, but if you look at the light blue lines shown here, we resurfaced these light blue lines last year with packed gravel that are now, it does not get muddy. It's usable year round. It's a vast improvement over what was there before. And we would like to do the same thing, although slightly narrower because it's not as much of a corridor in this area. And then there are also other potential connections on the south end of the park, which would provide better neighborhood access as well.
Yeah, that's great. I just think the more areas we can get people into the parks, the better access for the kids don't have to walk on busy streets to get there. Yeah, it just makes the whole trail system a lot better if people can access it more easily. Okay, you can take that down then. I think that's kind of an important piece as you look at that trail system. Gwen, go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to clarify because I think you touched on this and I managed to lose my concentration right then and I didn't capture it. But just tell us again, currently there's an encroachment with some driveway and stone wall or a cement brick wall and deck. If that and the proposal is to have a fee paid for an encroachment permit, and everything just basically stays as is, and there's still access. It's just a little bit narrower, but there'll be a trail. But in the future, if any changes are made, or if the driveway comes out, does it completely just revert back to the city? How does that work if there's a change?
Yeah, so the way that my understanding, and I'm certainly not the legal or real property expert, is that the permit would authorize the homeowner, whoever it is at that time, to maintain the features exactly as they are. It's maintenance, it's not upgrades. The permit specifically exempts the installation or construction of buildings or constructed features. And so they could maintain it exactly as is, could replace within the same bounds, et cetera. If the encroachment were to be, or excuse me, if the features were to be removed, I don't know if that would be vacation of that encroachment. I don't know if I can specifically speak to that. Certainly, we have other examples where with Public Works Department, where someone can request an encroachment permit into the right of way, and there are triggers under which they would be required to remove those encroachments. Let's say the road were to be expanded. We have precedent for that within the city. In this case, I have not included language specifically for that. My understanding is that this is intended as a lifetime encroachment permit or for the lifetime of the feature on the site.
Okay. Follow up?
Sure, go ahead.
Jim, could you speak to clarity on this issue, the way it's drawn up? I mean, what if they go in and want to remodel and change? At that point, does it trigger reverting back in its entirety to us? Or do we need more clarity on this, or is this sufficient the way it's set up?
Oh, I imagine Susan was the one actually working on this. And I don't know if she's watching right now, but I think what you have is it happens on a case-by-case basis. And there has to be something that draws attention to a potential issue or something along that line. Otherwise, it's not even noticed. And there's all kinds of real estate legal descriptions that are inaccurate in the community.
Okay, so to just follow up to make sure that I'm clear on this, nothing's going to trigger it ever returning to the city unless it somehow gets on our radar. But at a minimum, this should keep it from encroaching more. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I think that's what they've caught. It sounds like from what was being discussed earlier, it's not the cities to begin with, it's the homeowners. And so it would never, the city wouldn't be involved as long as the documentation doesn't have the city identified as one of the parties. But I think once, and this is akin to what was going on in Greeno Park for years, trying to get that straightened out. Once you find out that there's an encroachment in that, the Parks Department is real good about trying to work with the people and to try and get their boundary established so that it's done correctly and is accurate. However, there are lots of instances where there's encroachments, buildings and driveways and fences and that are already encroaching into the city parkland. So the Parks Department has a very sensitive job in trying to work things out in order to make it reasonable for all parties concerned. But once there's an alert, I expect that the Parks Department probably has it in their filing system and it's red flagged for the future.
Okay, thank you.
And Jeff, did you have something to add to that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And I'm going to, we've only got a few more minutes in this meeting. I'm pretty sure we've only got let me double check how much time we have. Do you want to speak as your hands up? Let me see if I need to.
I would. Can you hear me okay, Amber?
I can hear you. Thanks.
Got it. So I just wanted to clarify real quick, under the terms of the encroachment permit as finalized with Jeff and Susan, if the encroachment is removed, the permit terminates. So just an answer to that question real quick.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that clarification. And I'm going to move us along here, but Jeff, I have one question for you as well. I know that easement's going to be narrower. Would the trail actually be any narrower than what you would normally build? Because as I look at some of the pictures, you're not going to put a 15-foot wide trail there anyway. So it's not actually, this wouldn't change. Yeah, there you go. You're already doing it.
That's correct. That's correct. There's approximately 30 feet. I can't exactly tell where the fence line is, and there's a little bit of inaccuracy. There's approximately 30 feet between the narrowest point of the driveway and the adjacent property boundary.
Okay, that's just based on pictures. I was thinking we had plenty of room for any trail.
Correct. And in this case, we'd probably build about a 36-inch wide trail.
Okay, so plenty of room on both sides. Okay, I got to keep us moving along. I need to quit talking. Sandra.
Thanks. Something that we kind of glossed over. I just want some clarification. I'm a little confused. So even though cadastral and other records say that the city owns it, but technically the HOA technically owns it because paperwork was never filed. If that's the case, do we legally have the right to grant this permit?
Jeff, go, whoever, I think Jeff.
That's actually my login.
We can't hear you for some reason. You're really, at least I can't. You're really like
echoey and buzzy.
Yeah, fuzzy. That's okay. Try again, Jeff.
If that's better. Okay, it's probably Susan using my login.
I can't hear you at all.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can. Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
This is Susan.
Oh, Susan. Okay.
Oh, yes.
You come up with Jeff. I'm like, wow, that really does not sound like Jeff. That is different than Buzzy even. Okay.
Yeah, I keep forgetting I'm logged under Jeff's name. I disagree that the city doesn't own it. I think Jim misunderstood. The city does own it. It was transferred. It's under the county as city property.
Great, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay, thank you. Do you still need a motion?
I do need a motion.
Okay, I'll make that.
Okay, great, thank you. And then Stacy, go ahead.
Thanks so much. So I feels like there's lots compacted into this resolution and the motion that Ms. Pasika just made. I guess my question is, there is the fee that is being assessed that is sort of, if I'm trying to think of how to describe it, is a temporary easement that can basically be there for a significant period of time until, they decide to change the driveway, very unlikely, or the porch, the deck, I guess. So there's that one thing. And then the other thing in Jeff's recap that he highlighted was there, and it showed on that picture when you were measuring the map, that kind of was a good aerial photo. There is a gravel parking pad that is to the east of the driveway that encroaches even farther into the path. Aha, there we go. Okay. And there seems to be a wall. So is that where the wall is located, right there at like kind of right next to the camper, or to kind of help shore up that driveway? Because there's like 4 components of the encroachment: the deck, the driveway, the wall, and the gravel parking pad. And we are allowing for the continuation of the deck and the driveway and the wall, but the gravel parking pad is going to revert back to how it was, back to kind of as a part of this trail system. Correct?
That is correct. And
We can't hear you, Jeff. You're still really, that is
correct.
I heard him say that is correct. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I caught that too. Okay. So
Okay.
Lovely. Appreciate the clarity on that. Okay. So I mean, this is a really tough situation because I feel for the homeowner, because when they bought this, they're like, oh, great, we're getting this lovely driveway and this deck and this gravel pad. And it turns out that they were farther over than they should have been. And it sounds like the money that is being assessed as a part of this easement is going to help create some more connectivity, which is great. I actually literally used to live a block from here and use that path all the time. But you said the Parks Department is also going to be incurring the cost to undo the gravel parking pad. And that is where I'm like, that seems, it is an additional cost to the Parks Department, which already is literally the MacGyver department in terms of like trying to make things out of, matchsticks and duct tape, to have an additional cost that really is not fair to be incurred upon them.
Jeff, to you, and we're getting really tight here, so
I need Morgan to come back.
Where'd Morgan go? I was going to ask him because I can't hear Jeff.
Oh, it looks like he's going to talk to Jeff, maybe. Okay. Morgan went to go talk to Jeff to get the answer to come back and tell us. Great, love it.
Sorry, technical difficulties over here. And again, I just think for background, Parks Department is not in the business of giving away parkland. That is not something that we want to do. Part of our mission is to preserve these public spaces for the public. One of the considerations that I think is important to note is that these easements these encroachments are very difficult. The fact that this encroachment is located in a portion of the park where you don't really have a lot of active use. It's not big, wide, expansive. The main purpose of this section of park is to convey people to the larger portion of the park. And we feel that can still be achieved. The gravel, and the reason that was negotiated with the homeowner, is that quite honestly, we do plan to build a gravel trail and it will go right through that gravel parking pad. There is quite a draw there. And so we will have a trail quite close to this person's driveway, and we'll be using those materials to construct that trail. So in general, we felt that I totally hear you. And that was one of my concerns and one of the reasons I ran next door to talk to Jeff. But the level of disturbance to remove that gravel to then come back in and add more gravel when we build a trail, we just said we could use the materials on site when we build the trail.
Okay, I appreciate that clarity. And I feel like the homeowner's getting a good deal for city land, but okay. Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Mike, and we actually have 1 minute, so I want to vote. Oh, Mike's no longer got a question.
No, you called on me, so I put my hand down.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, at the last hearing when we were talking about this, we did talk about the original permit approval more. And the driveway was supposed to go right up along the house where the deck is, which honestly seems like it was too narrow to begin with. So I just want to put out there that while the previous owner, not these current owners, definitely should have known they were encroaching, I also think that there's a little bit of responsibility that we didn't finish monitoring this on the city permitting side of things better. And I think that that probably needs to be acknowledged.
Thanks, Mike. I think that's important too. We are out of time, so I am going to, the only public here is Dwight, and I assume that you don't have any more comments for us, but go ahead, Karina, and do a roll call vote for me.
Okay. Anderson,
Sorry, technical difficulty, couldn't get my mute off. Yeah, I'll vote yes to keep the process going.
Anderson votes yes. Becerra,
Yes.
Becerra votes yes. Carlino,
Yes.
Carlino votes yes. Contos,
Yes.
Contos votes yes. Hess,
Yes.
Hess votes yes. Jones,
Yes.
Jones votes yes. Jordan,
No.
Jordan votes no. Mike Nugent,
Yes.
Mike Nugent votes yes. Savage,
Yes.
Savage votes yes. Cheryl,
Yes.
Cheryl votes yes. Vaseka,
Yes.
Vaseka votes yes. West,
Yes.
West votes yes. That is, my computer is very slow. That is 11 yeses and 1 no.
Okay, thanks. And obviously you've marked Ms. West present, and Kristen, would you like this to go on committee reports, or is it okay to go on the consent agenda?
I can go on the consent agenda. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that'll go on the consent agenda. We are done. Thank you, everyone. And I am going to adjourn the Climate Park Conservation and Parks Committee. Thanks.